All right, we're back here for another midweek segment on the Big Orange Podcast, and we have a special guest today. You've probably seen this guy on Instagram. If you haven't, what are you doing? Work on that algorithm and get this guy in your feed. He is making some of the funniest skits about college football that are out there right now, and he just so happens to be a Tennessee fan. I was looking through his Instagram earlier. He's got videos with like 1 million views, 1.5 million views, absolutely popping off. Josh Mancuso, you might know him also as Coach Lance. What's up, Josh? Thanks for coming on.
What's up, guys? Man, I'm so excited to be with you. Yes, it's been a crazy journey. It all started with Coach Lance. He was the original comedy video, and here we are. So, what a season! Lots to talk about. Excited to be with you.
Well, let's just start here. What is your background? How did you get here to where I have friends sending me your videos, and then you're a Tennessee fan, which makes it that much better. So how'd you end up doing this?
Yeah, well, I was born July 15th, 1980. No, I won't go back that far. Yeah, I just gave my age away. Dang. Anyways, I've always kind of done creative stuff, right? I've always made videos. I've always kind of done comedy stuff on the side as I was doing like other work, regular jobs. I worked in marketing and worked in some different areas for a while. Started doing video production. So I did video production for a long time for other companies, things like that, and then started making my own content, which is really what I wanted to do. I want to make my own stuff, right? Make my own films, make my own comedies. So just kind of got into it. And like I tinkered with some comedy videos a couple years ago. They did okay, but I wasn't consistent with them, and then I put out a video the day that Jeremy Pruitt was fired as Tennessee's head coach, announcing Coach Lance Decker as the new head football coach at Tennessee. This character I just made up on the fly right here in this office, just like, hey, what if I did a video making up this guy and he was the head coach, and just made a little press conference, and that took off pretty good. And that's when I kind of realized I was onto something. Did a few more videos, and then kind of fast forward to this year, I was able to launch my own production company with some backing, and actually put some time and effort into this stuff. And so once I started actually doing this sort of full time, it blossomed. I was able to really see a lot of views, a lot of fans, and that's where we are now. So it's been the last 5 or 6 months have been pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like these videos are pretty elaborate. I mean, sometimes they're a couple minutes long. I don't think people maybe realize how much time probably goes into it. Like the one with the Alabama and Tennessee fans where they're kind of hanging out with each other. Notice you've got like 3 different stages of facial hair going on there. So how much time goes into just making like one video?
Yeah. Well, that's called method acting. What that is. Going, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that one took longer than normal just because of so I had a beard, and I was like, I'm going to shave it. I don't know why, but I'm going to. And I thought, well, what if I make this video in the midst of me shaving it? So I've got a bathroom off of my studio here, and I, shaved it into a goatee, recorded the first part, and then shaved it into a mustache, recorded that part, and it went all the way down to clean shaven. So yeah, that would take longer than normal, but all in, normally, if I'm not shaving in between takes, it's a full day work, between writing, shooting it, acting in it, editing it, captions, the whole deal, the whole production. It's about a full day of work for one video. Yeah.
The thing that always fascinates me in those is because there's a couple other guys kind of in the same lane, and all y'all, it seems like you have to have like a mountain of gear from each school, right? Because it's like when you play an Alabama fan, you have the Alabama shirt and Alabama hat, and like you just have a giant closet of stuff from every school in the SEC.
I did to my left right here. I have like a clothes rack with all kinds of gear. Yes, shirts from different schools, things like so. I've been adding to it like every week. I kind of buy another couple of shirts. Amazon is loving my house. They're coming here like every other day now. So yeah, I got plenty of that kind of stuff, but it's mainly Tennessee stuff, if I'm being honest. But there's a few. I think when I have to put on an Alabama shirt to do a skit, it doesn't feel right. It feels like I'm cheating.
But your favorite fan base to make fun of, and in kind of saying that Your least favorite fan base in the SEC.
Are you asking me who it is?
Yes. Sorry, I should have made it a question a little bit more there.
You're good. Yes, it's definitely Alabama, hands down. I mean,
yeah.
I hit them pretty hard in my college mascot video series that I've been doing. The full, mullet and just acting like an idiot. I mean, I think making fun of Alabama is the best because they think they're so awesome and they think they're God's gift to the world, right? And it's more fun to make fun of them just because of who they are. Yeah. Now, I love making fun of Georgia, Florida, really any other school. But I made fun of Tennessee too in my videos. It's sort of hopefully that's what kind of brings people together. Comedy is something that can be shared by anybody. So it's okay to make fun of each other. It's nothing that overly important, that it's football. It's not a big deal. So hopefully people get that. I occasionally get the comment of, people getting mad at me for making fun of their school. And I'm like, it's not that big a deal, really.
Yeah. What kind of feedback have you had from other fan bases or even the Tennessee fan base? Have you had anybody kind of get upset at you, or does everybody take it in good fun and kind of laugh at themselves a little bit?
Yeah, most people have taken it in good fun. They can laugh at themselves. Texas A&M, I just did a video on them, and it's got like 250,000 views or something. And it, for the most part, everybody is cracking up. They're commenting. They're like, "Wow, that one hurt," but it's really true.
Yeah.
It's like they know how ridiculous it is. Just like with Tennessee, we're like, "Yeah, we have a volunteer. What's a volunteer? We gotta explain that. We got Smokey. We got a David Crockett guy. And we got like Rocky Top. What is that? Like, so it's you gotta be able to laugh at yourself. So most people, yes, have been pretty cool about it. Yeah.
Have you heard any feedback from anybody at Tennessee by chance? Because I know these videos have made their way to them. I just wonder if anybody at the schools reached out or had any comments or anything.
I really not much. I've developed a few relationships with some people at Tennessee on my own. Some guys like Santiago Vescovi, he and I've become friends, and some other players or former players. But nobody really like within the administration or anybody like at the school has reached out to me at any point, which I'm kind of surprised, to be honest with you.
Me too.
Yeah. I feel like my videos probably helped the university in some way. I mean, it's a good exposure. But we'll see. Maybe old Coach Hype will give me a shout, and we'll get him to do a video with me.
Fall is in the air, and that means fall grilling with cookouts, tailgate parties, and so much more. Luckily, the flavor experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to savor all the flavors of fall with their mouthwatering assortments of perfectly aged steaks, ultra juicy burgers, and easy-to-prepare comfort meals that are ready in a flash. And now is the perfect time to load up on all this incredible flavor and take advantage of 50% off site-wide by shopping their Friends and Family sale. Go to omahasteaks.com and use my promo code Vols, that is VOLS, at checkout and get $30 off your order. And guys, I've said it in these ads for weeks now. I've had all of the stuff from Omaha Steaks. I can't endorse it enough. Everything has been high quality. It comes right to your door, so easy and convenient, and I mean, most importantly, tasty. So I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it. So don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com and stock up today. Omaha Steaks isn't just steak. It's the best steak of your life, guaranteed. And don't forget to score that extra $30 off your order when you use Vols at checkout, VOLS. Omaha Steaks is perfect for those chilly and busy fall nights. You won't come close to getting this kind of quality at the grocery store. Visit omahasteaks.com. Promo code Vols at checkout. Minimum order may be required. Omaha Steaks. It does seem like Tennessee is just such a perfect fan base with everything that's happened in the last 15 years. It's the perfect fan base to kind of parody because living in it has been, I mean, I look around at some of the stuff that has happened and I'm like, is this real or is this parody? Literally, because like some of the stuff you think back, like, I mean, I was at this press conference. Jeremy Pruitt gets fired, and they're essentially like letting Phil Fulmer like go out to pasture, so to speak.
Right.
And he's like, they're getting slammed for Pruitt's recruiting stuff. And Phil is like, well, he was a pretty good recruiter. And you're like, Phil, what are you doing? And you just look at that and you're like, we're living in like a comedy movie. I mean, this is really, so it's got to be pretty easy to kind of lampoon the Tennessee fan base, I got to think.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, the content writes itself. It makes my job a lot easier when things are like on fire. So yeah, the last 15 years have been hard to imagine. Hard to imagine where we are now. It's like a 10-2 season with a coach that's actually really good, and a team that's on the up and up. Man, it feels so good to be there. But yeah, there's plenty of things to make fun of. I've got a video coming out later this week featuring Tennessee and a few other fan bases writing letters to Santa Claus, what they want for Christmas, and
Oh,
so we've got I got a few in there that I think you'll appreciate at this point in Tennessee history. Yeah.
you talked a little bit about the writing process there, how it kind of writes itself, but how does that work for you when are you just going through the middle of the day and something pops in your head and you stop everything and kind of start writing there, or do you sit down with the object of coming up with kind of a skit? How does that process work?
Man, that's a great question. It's sort of both and. Like I have, a schedule of videos I'm working towards and trying to do. So a lot of times, yeah, I'll sit down, like, all right, we're gonna do, the Utah mascot video. Okay, so here we go. We'll sit down and work on it. But that feels forced a lot of times. So yes, a lot of times I'm like, all right, I'll work on it for a bit, and then I'm like, all right, I've spent an hour, like, and I'm just kind of, not getting anywhere. I'll go do something else or work on something else. And I creativity usually hits me when I'm doing something different besides writing. I'm in the shower, I'm eating, or I'm doing something outside, and it comes to me. So, and then I jot down notes, and then I come back and I kind of put it all together. And so, yeah, it kind of pieces together over time, I guess. But the writing process is honestly the hardest process of it all. Like, I mean, because I'm writing something that I think is hysterical, and then I read back over it, and I'm like, God, is this even funny? Like, is this, And then you record it and you put it out there, and you're like, God, please, God, let this be funny. You don't want to bomb, like a stand-up comedian. It's like I don't want to bomb on stage, and that's what it feels like. So it all hinges on the writing, but I have learned that some videos where I feel like the writing has not been as good, you can sort of compensate with really great editing.
Mhm.
So, you know, you can't substitute one for the other, but if the writing's okay, if you edit it just right, you can probably get away with it.
Do you test it out on anyone before you put it out there, family or anything like that, or you just throw it out there and see what
Just let it,
happens?
let it fly, baby. Just let it go.
Nice.
Sometimes I'll run ideas by like a couple friends of mine. Is this funny? And if they say no, then I don't usually do it. But yeah, I just let it fly, man. Make it and hit send.
Well, we usually have either real not connected to Tennessee media figures or former players on here or something. You're a little bit more off the beaten path from what we usually have as a guest. So I really want to know, outside of making the videos, Tennessee fan this season has just been unreal. It was a season I'm not sure that I thought would come again. To be completely honest, how has it been watching what happened this year?
Man, it has been the most fun that I can remember in a long time. And I was just telling somebody the other day, like I was at the game in '98 when Tennessee beat Arkansas at home, the Sterner, stumble and
Mhm.
fumble, um, and that was like a huge, you know, moment and huge atmosphere. Like was amazing. It was crazy. But I tell you what, man, I wasn't at the Bama game. I wish I could have been this year, but that feeling after beating Alabama and Dixieland Delight playing over the loudspeakers and the crowd on the field and just getting chills and everybody having the cigar afterwards. That was one of the best experiences and moments, honestly, as a Tennessee fan, my entire life. Um, so this season felt like it was fun to watch Tennessee play. I felt confident in every game that we have a chance to win, that we probably will win. And honestly, I can't remember a time when I've been more excited about Tennessee football and Tennessee sports. And you guys you may have talked with Danny White at some point. I don't know, but I met Danny White a few months ago and we were chatting. And I said, man, you're doing a killer job with Tennessee athletics. And he just said, we're building a monster here. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what we want to hear. And that's exactly what he's doing, man. And you can see it happening. And there's so much excitement around Tennessee sports and especially football, man. We're living on the mountain right now, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure fans will love seeing that clip too and hearing that comment from Danny White for sure, because that's definitely what everybody wants. A little bit more about your background.
Yeah.
Your stuff says you're from Los Angeles and moved to Tennessee. That's kind of like the reverse of how you think that kind of career would go as far as acting and doing all that kind of stuff. How did that come about? Did you move as a young child, or how was that story unfolded?
Yeah, I did. I was like 4 or 5 years old when we moved from LA to Tennessee. So my dad was from LA, all his family's still out there, and we go out there, as often as we can to visit and those types of things. But yeah, I grew up in Tennessee, and my mom was from Tennessee, so that's how we ended up here. And I lived in Atlanta for about a year, and it was great. But I really just felt like Tennessee was home. My wife and I wanted to raise a family here, wanted to be rooted here. And I think that's been a great decision. It would probably benefit me in my industry to be in Atlanta, LA, New York, some bigger city. But we love East Tennessee, and we're fortunate enough to live in, a time when you can make content, even movies from anywhere in the country. And so that's awesome. And so that's what we intend to do. So we're going to stay here as long as we can. It's possible we can end up in Nashville or somewhere else at some point, but I think for the foreseeable future, we've got kids, they love it here. We're just going to stick around and do all we can do from here.
You have any good, like, in your industry, any good stories of stuff that has happened? I mean, that's so foreign to me. I kind of have a weird path of how I got here. I was an accountant, then I did sports radio, and then now I'm back to having a day job, and this is like a side gig. But like nobody's like, tell me your accounting stories. But the entertainment industry is fascinating to me. The world I don't know. Anything cool I don't want to put you too much on the spot there, but do you have any great ones that you've experienced?
Just some. All right, here's just kind of a random story. I was in LA back in 2018. I had actually directed a documentary film, and so I was there for the premiere that we had there in Beverly Hills. Really cool, like deal, um, and I was eating lunch at a restaurant called Musso and Frank. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It's on Hollywood Boulevard, and we were eating lunch there. And I'm this, little filmmaker from Tennessee who's like, keeping an eye out for maybe I'll see somebody that I can talk to, right? Even though I've been to LA like a bunch, but like every time I'm there, I'm like, ooh, um, I look over and there's like 3 or 4 people sitting at a table like diagonally from us, and I said to my wife, I was like, I bet they're working on a film. And she's like, oh my gosh, you really are, Josh. Yeah, everybody's a movie star out here. I was like, I guarantee it. I can tell, but And so I was like, I'm gonna go talk to them. And she goes, please, God, don't go talk to them. Like, don't do that. I was like, no, I'm going. And so I got up and I went over there. I was like, hey, are you guys filmmakers? And they were like, hey, yeah. And then the one guy, he gave me his card, and I told him what I was doing there. He gave me his card, and he's like, yeah, we're working on a location for a movie. I said, that's cool. And I was like, is it like a big studio or independent? He goes, well, it's an independent filmmaker. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm an independent filmmaker, right? So like we're one and the same. I was like, so who's the movie for? He's like, well, it's a movie for a director named Quentin Tarantino. And I was like,
a little tiny guy. You probably haven't heard of him. He's
like, I didn't know who that was. So this guy was like the senior location manager for Quentin Tarantino.
Whoa.
And they were at that restaurant scouting for their film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
An East Tennessee native, Quentin Tarantino, by the way.
That's right, Knoxville guy, yeah. And so literally, and they shot some scenes in that restaurant, Musso and Frank. If you watch the movie for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's in there. So I thought that was so cool. And he gave me his card. I emailed him one time. He never wrote me back. So
that's cool. Though
that is a great story for sure.
Yeah, it started to happen some even here. I was in Nashville for my birthday just earlier this year, in August, and we ate at this like real hip restaurant. It's like it's called Locust. I mean, if you haven't been, it's one of the best restaurants I've ever been to, and it just happens to be in Nashville. It's great. But we were just sitting there, and the whole restaurant there was like a hush, and then my wife looked up and was like, that's Gwyneth Paltrow. And I was like, no, it's not. And I turned around. I was like, that's Gwyneth Paltrow. And she had just walked in. She ended up sitting directly behind us. And I was like, we're in freaking Nashville, Tennessee. And this lady that was in the freaking Marvel movies is right behind us. So it's even happening here now. It's wild.
It's right here. Well, you know, Brad Pitt likes to fly fish on the South Holston Lake up here in East Tennessee. So he's, yeah. I've never seen him up here, but he does come, you know, pretty often. You know, you have time for, you got one more story I can give you?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So another funny story. This is not really related to my industry, but I was headed up to New York. I was on an airplane to New York. My brother graduated from West Point, so it was a really cool deal. We were flying up there, and we're on this jet, and there's this older guy, probably he's almost 70 years old. He's got like long gray hair, kind of hippie-ish looking, and he starts talking to us, and he's a doctor. I was like, oh wow, that's all right, that's cool. And he's like, yeah, I work with a band, like, so I go to some of their shows and like make sure that like they're healthy and they're, you know, doing good, and they're just some old guys. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And so then he pulls out his phone and starts showing us like some pictures and some video of this band he's been working with for like 20 or 30 years. And I was like, what's their name? He goes, that's it's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I was like, yeah, heard of them. You know, he was like, just some old guys that, you know, whatever. And so we're on the plane next to the you know, the doctor for Tom Petty. And anyways, we I gave him a card of mine for whatever reason. And then literally the next day I get a phone call from him, and he was like, hey, I've got 4 tickets for you at the Beacon Theater on Broadway, 12th Road, right in the middle, to see Tom Petty. And I was like, no way. And so I was able to take my brother and his wife, and we went and experienced that. You know, that was really, really cool. So
that's amazing.
Just random people that you end up, you know, seeing on a plane or at a restaurant. You know, you never know. You should talk to them. That's the lesson. Talk to them, because you never know who they might be.
I bet your wife is like that. Just made you even more want to go up to people and chat with them, because you keep getting proven right. Like,
exactly,
it keeps being a good decision.
If you could tell her that, that'd be great, Zach. I'll get her in here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I do feel a little bit of that, having covered Tennessee for a while. Like I've gotten to do a pool interview, like just a stand-up interview with Peyton Manning twice, and every time I tell people that, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you got to talk to Peyton Manning!" And it's you know, meeting the guys that know Quentin Tarantino stuff. It's, in my opinion, a little cool. You get desensitized to it doing it at Tennessee. You're like, well, yeah, I mean, it's like sort of part of the thing. And then when you talk to people, they're like, oh my gosh, that's the coolest thing that you could do as a Tennessee fan. So there is a little bit of that in doing this, I guess, but it's on a much more local scale.
No, I would much rather meet Peyton Manning. I mean, I've never met Peyton or a lot of you know, Tennessee people. So that would be ideal for me. Heck yeah.
I'm gonna keep emailing Peyton to be on the podcast. I haven't got an email back.
he keeps saying he's busy. We're like, what could you possibly be doing? You're retired.
That's right. That's right. Do you not know about the A to Z Big Orange podcast? Let's
go. If he opens his spam folder, he'll know.
He'll find out right away. That's right. I have 138 messages from Zach Reagan. What is that? Yeah.
Well, to wrap it up here, we appreciate you coming on. Promote anything and everything that you have, Josh, and let the people know where you're at.
Yeah. Well, thanks guys for having me on. Yeah. Obviously just follow me on social is great. It's at Josh Mancuso, just my name. You can also follow Coach Lance, his character at Coach Lance UT. So just check me out there. That'd be great. And again, I do some acting and some filmmaking as well, in addition to the comedy stuff. So we have a movie coming out in a few months. We'd love people to support that. So my production company is Switchman Studios. So you can go to switchmanstudios.com and check us out there as well. You can see some of the projects that we've got coming in development in the future. So yeah, man, go Vols, baby.
Go Vols. Look out for all his stuff. The sketch later this week that he was talking about earlier. Look out for that one on his Instagram and on the socials.